Assalamu alaikum.
Wa assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi.
Say it again.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
I am sticking and I'm not really sure. And I did plug in the cord. So hopefully, you know, because only we can see each other right now, right? Because it hasn't started yet, right?
No, we people should be able to see us.
Oh,
No. Yeah.
okay.
I can say OMG.
Yes, you can say OMG. Let me just.
Whoa. Oh, are you kidding me right now? Ow. Oh my gosh.
Okay.
That was my chance. Oh. Yeah, I scored. Yeah.
Yeah. So how are you doing today?
Alhamdulillah, Wayanta. I can't complain. It's good. It's good. I'm really excited to be able to talk about some of the things we're going to share this evening. So I'm really excited about that.
Yeah. I'm excited. I'm excited. Goodness gracious, these kids. But it's been an eventful day. Mashallah.
Very
Du'a's been answered. Du'a's been answered, and
Absolutely. Alhamdulillah. Listen, I am just being in this moment intentionally. I just had a meeting before this because I have a class before this. And I was just saying, just reflecting on my week thus far. And pressure make diamonds. And that's all I'm going to say with that.
Yes,
Pressure make diamonds. And by Allah's permission, I'm going to get it done, whatever that looks like.
Absolutely, absolutely. I cannot complain on that. It will happen. It will happen. So now we're just waiting for Bugaboo
Understand.
to arrive. But
So I'm learning all these little things that you are familiar with, StreamYard and all these, just be familiarizing myself with like different apps and different ways to basically correspond with other people. I know the general ways. I get that, but I would never know until tonight how to set up a podcast because I could see you could sign up for it. So
listen, somebody else showed me this, so I'm just passing along, information because I'm like, how the heck? Been? They was like, oh,
got it.
StreamYard, so
understand it. So thus far, how's your Ramadan?
Alhamdulillah, my Ramadan is going good. I cannot complain. It's going well.
I was watching this little snippet, and it was the people in New York praying in the street. If that don't bring tears to your eyes, I don't know what will.
Yes, I saw it.
It
I
was.
shared it. It was amazing.
Yeah.
It was amazing. Just everybody just together, like.
And you know what the euphoria is? That we are on the world stage. Right now, we are on the world stage. You know what I mean? It's not that we have not always been, but we are on the world stage. And it's just so many. It feels very inviting for the first time for me. You know what I mean? This year. And I don't know since that other person is out of office, but now it just feels extremely inviting. Not our way of life, but the fact that other faiths are, embracing it and want to know, and in some instances by Allah's permission converting to Islam. So it just feels very inviting and very warm, and the energy about this particular Ramadan is just different. Inshallah.
That's good. So it is 9 o'clock. I don't know where Mama Bear is at. but I am going to get started because
Okay.
I like time because my time is my money. My money is my time.
Absolutely.
So أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Anything that I am saying that's wrong is from myself, and anything that is correct, it is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Also, I wanted to let everybody know that I am everyone's favorite therapist, and I will be utilizing Facebook to discuss mental health concerns in the Muslim and African American communities. This page is not a substitute for professional assistance or a replacement for professional counseling or mental health care. I do not provide counseling via messages. No social media posts or podcasts should be considered personalized professional advice. All questions that are answered should not be considered therapy, but a guidance to assist you with thinking about professional therapeutic services. No part of this podcast or post should be used to diagnose or treat yourself or others. If you have a mental health emergency, please contact 911 or go to your nearest mental health facility. This podcast is for informational purposes only. Mental health has a lot of nuances, so please, please do not try to diagnose yourself. If you believe you are struggling with mental health concerns, please contact a therapist, or you can go to Samsung website for a referral to treatment. Just want to make sure that everybody is aware of that.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam. Rahmatullah barakatuh.
How
Can
are
you
you?
hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah.
So I just read our, don't take this as, any mental health, whatever, shenanigans.
Yeah, like disclaimer kind of thing.
Yes,
Absolutely.
yes,
Yeah,
because
you need that.
I got a license to protect. Like not
Right.
doing that. But so the topic slated today is mental health and fasting. Sounds
Alhamdulillah.
exciting. Alhamdulillah.
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 Yeah. So I wanted to start it off because a lot of times I think in the Islamic community we have a lot of people who they see people doing something and they want to point the fingers like, oh, they're not fasting, oh, they're not this, or they're not that, not understanding the implications that may be a reason why someone may not be fasting. So I just thought I feel like it lines up perfectly the fact that it's Ramadan
Yeah.
and people are fasting, some people are not fasting, and it
Mm-hmm.
could be for a variety of reasons. And I wanted to outline some things that could really be an issue with people who have mental health concerns and medical concerns too. Let's not forget medical because that's a part of
Oh
it
yeah.
too. So what do you ladies think about that?
Dr. B, you want to go first?
Well, sure, I could go first. I really do believe that. First, I want to say that the the spirit of Ramadan and the sacrifice that ties into it is this whole misconception with general public. Period.
Right.
We can pretty much start there. Of course, people, the education piece where we, as Muslims and in this field, to educate them in regards to, if you don't know, just ask. If you don't know, just ask. And so my take on medications and making this turning down your plate sacrifice, and that being the only thing that larger society know about Muslims, period, is like null and void. It's so far fetched and beyond like any of that. So I think that starting with talking about, you know, just the spirit of Ramadan. What is really Ramadan? Because they people don't know. They think, oh, it's the Muslim holy month, and they're just going to turn their plates down, and half of them's going to pass out because they don't know what they're doing. Nobody's got guidance, this, that, and the third, and even me myself, I passed out one time, not being misguided and misled. So it's really, really, really a really good thing, and we want what everyone's favorite therapist.
But I
Right?
think that, but I think that sometimes too, what we forget is that we are supposed to think the best about each other. So when you see somebody not fasting, you should automatically make a reason in your mind of why they're not fasting. I don't
Yeah.
know how we got away from thinking the worst about each other.
Larger society.
So can I?
It's definitely society. I really don't think that it's like us. Even though,
I have to disagree with that. I
go
think
ahead.
that someone else's perception of you is their reality. That's their perception. I
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
think that it is our duty. It is our duty as Muslims to really learn what this religion entails, this way of life entails. There is no compulsion in Islam. So, in reference to, oh, I feel bad about fasting. I'm on medication and I feel horrible that I can't fast. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows your limitations. He knows
Mm-hmm.
the intention that's in your heart. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
If you, he will know, like, I'm not doing it because I just don't feel like it. Oh, he already gonna know that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I feel one, um, people have taken this lifestyle and twisted it and made it extremely rigid, where there's no room to breathe for some folk. And when new shahadas come on board, they're being fed this stuff, um, and they're being
So
told,
you think it's within us? You think it's like
"Oh,
it's
listen,
inside the
listen, you
community?
got to start in the family first. Got to start in the family, so to speak.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And it's by all means within the ummah. It's a lot of unfortunate, they don't realize, okay, it's the month of Ramadan. Not only do you give up food, but you got to give up backbiting. You got to give up vulgar language. You know what I mean? There are other
Yeah.
things that are
Yeah.
involved in, practice, this holy month. And another part of this is, if you can't fast, then you need to be feeding the people. Then you need to be doing sadaqah. Then you need to be
That's
warm and
right.
pray. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There are other things that you can do. You know what I mean? To sacrifice. You know what I mean? That's going to supplement the fast. That's going to be
Absolutely.
fast in place of the fast. And
Absolutely.
if you have somebody that you love, I mean, you could host iftars. If you have somebody you love, you break their fast. You still get the benefit of it. But I
Mm-hmm.
think that
And I've seen you do that too, by the way. Oh, I've seen you do that over the years. I
and
mean,
that
years.
has not changed. And I am one of those people who cannot fast. I have chronic medical issues, so I feed the people. I will be donating overgarments to sisters that are in need of overgarments that might just be, taking, that might be new shahadas or whatever, might be financially challenged. I don't care what the reasoning is.
I've seen you take a whole community years in a row. I'm talking about less fortunate. I'm going to say it just like I know. I've seen you do that almost a decade, at least the minimum of a decade, at
and
least the
that
last 10
and
years,
that
at
was because
least.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put that on my heart. I feel that if we're going to heal and be great representation as Muslims or Muslims, it got to start within. Anything that we decide we're going to repair, it has to start within. The bid'ah has to be, has to stop. Is a lot of innovation, and again, is a lot of, and I'm seeing this firsthand. These older brothers are taking advantage of these younger sisters, feeding them information on an as needed basis, so to speak, and not really giving them the meat and potatoes of this lifestyle that, you know what I mean, that the law chose for us. Because I don't think I'm going to say Allah helped me, guided me through this process. I ain't going to be arrogant and say, oh yeah, I chose Islam, and that's just my.
Yeah, absolutely. But also I was, explaining to somebody else earlier that we don't understand. Well, not we, because we understand, but sometimes the people don't understand that. They think that mental health issues is like a figment of people's imagination. And at the end of it all, if someone has an eating disorder, because this is one of the ones that I want, if someone has an eating disorder, right, and I'm anorexic, I can hide under the fact that I'm fasting for Ramadan, and you
Yeah.
don't realize that I'm sick,
Yes.
you know.
Yes.
And people like, oh, she's fasting, that's why she's not eating it. Meanwhile, between time, I only ate a cracker for like 2 days,
Mm-hmm.
with just some water. Or if I'm bulimic, I wait for it, the iftar to come off, and then now I'm gorging and gorging and
Yes.
gorging, and then I vomit, all the food up, and it's not a healthy cycle to be in, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And people need to be aware of that. Like, you don't know, you don't know what undue stress you may be causing people, because
Yeah.
especially I know in the African American community, we don't think that Black women or Black men suffer from eating disorders.
And I
It is a
think
lot of people that suffer from eating disorders
I agree.
in our
And
community,
I agree.
all types of
I
eating
agree.
disorders.
all
All
types.
types.
Whether
I
that's
All
overeating, whether that's just binge eating, binging and purging, anorexia, because
and
this
that
standard of
emotional eater, and let me tell you,
oh
that
yes.
emotional eater
Oh yes. Oh yes. And then I
just
think
eat
that,
when you're happy, when you're sad, when you're everything. You just go for food, and that's just definitely is not healthy. And during the month of Ramadan, it can be very, very dangerous.
and very challenging.
I just
Hmm.
listened to a cookbook that was talking about that, and it was talking about during the month of Ramadan, we are supposed to eat a third, period, in general, um, and I'm learning. I was listen to this cookbook, and it was saying how people are overeating. They feel like after after they break fast, then they can just gorge themselves. When there are guidelines from our beloved Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam around that.
Clearly.
There are guidelines around that. But I wanted to go back to the mental health piece, Michelle, that you were talking about, that's in the community. So we are, admonished to check on each other. And this is another, component of our lifestyle. As Muslims, we should be checking on each other. Our beloved Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam gave the best example when there was a Jewish woman who was throwing trash and stuff on his property, cussing him out, and just was totally ignorant. And one day, when he did not see her, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he didn't see her, he went over to check on her, and she was sick. And she eventually converted to Islam. So just that example, this was a person that didn't even believe, that was cruel, that was mean. How much so should we be checking on each other and just doing a earnest, sincere check-in?
Yeah.
You know,
Wellness check. Yeah.
yeah. How you doing, sis? You know what I mean? What's going on? Haven't seen you in a while.
Mm-hmm.
Just a check-in.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was explaining to them, like, people don't take these things seriously, not understanding that with mental health, like, I tell you, I was like, I ask people all the time when they're like, mental health is made up in your mind, blah blah blah, and I'd be like, well, at the end of the day, if I have a chemical imbalance in my brain, it's real. Like, it's real. I have a chemical imbalance in my brain. And, a lot of people don't believe in medications. And I'm like, well, don't take your insulin. Don't take your metformin.
That
Don't take
part. Yeah.
your medicine. Your brain is an organ. So why can't your brain have problems just like any other part of your body?
Any other
Whether it's
organ.
heart, kidneys,
Mm-hmm.
whatever, stomach, and, I'm about to say gestation. Goodness gracious, I ain't having no more kids.
But do you
But
also think it could be conditioning? So in my generation, therapy was taboo. And just because I am now Muslim does not mean that, or someone else is Muslim doesn't mean that they might not carry that same mindset. It took us a moment to understand that therapy, Black people do it, and it's okay to do therapy. It took us a moment to kind of relinquish this, not get caught up in the stigmas and understand that you are not your diagnosis. You know what I mean? That's just a little part of, something that might be affecting the quality of your life. And I think a big part of that is conditioning, still thinking, especially the older generations, that, oh, she's just acting out, or she on that stuff, when that's clearly not the case. There's, clearly some mental health issues there.
And then so with eating disorders, and let's talk about the coexisting mental health disorders with
Yeah,
the eating disorder that makes clearly exacerbates the whole situation,
absolutely.
unaddressed, and then nobody in your everyday life. And this is what I teach all the time, and I think both of you know this about me. I teach support is everything all the time.
Yes.
And there's no healthy people in in their everyday lives that is saying to them something's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Or they just playing into it, like what you just said about the older people who are just, I'm just going to say, set in the ways,
Yes.
that's the way that is, set in their ways.
Yes.
And not that they're not buying into new norms and elevation and all that type of stuff. Not that stuff. It's just that you only know what you know until somebody else comes along and a law places upon your heart to be open-minded enough.
Absolutely.
Right, to be able to hear what the person has to say. So the exacerbating symptoms of with the eating disorders and bipolar and depression and all those things that take place during the holy month of Ramadan, when people is trying to literally turn their place down and fast, can just be so overwhelming, detrimental. It really is. It really is, and so that's why I'm glad that you decided to start a podcast and get it all going and popping, because the information is definitely, and now is a really good time to talk about it.
And I'm glad you brought that up about, bipolar disorder. People don't know, like staying up all night and, praying and stuff like that and fasting during the day can literally trigger a mania.
Yes.
And not everybody's mania is a good mania where they just go shopping a little bit. Some people's manias think devils and demons are after them, and they, they end up in other states, or
crisis mode.
Or they start having sex with all these people or start doing drugs. Everybody's mania is not the same.
Yes.
And we have to be cognizant of other people's, well, I'm not even gonna say cognizant of other people's struggles, but again, thinking the best about Muslims. Like, so when you see something happening, you don't just automatically jump the gun that they are trying to be disobedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Yeah. And I agree. We need to allow each other some grace. It is so important, because none of us are perfect. Nobody is, we know that there's a minhaj. We know that there's something tracked out for us to follow. Ain't none of us following it perfect. None of us. Whether we think we are or not. And every day we sin, not really knowing, and we may not be aware of it. So, getting back to the bipolar piece, one of the things that I also discovered with the bipolar piece, I'm gonna say bipolar and schizophrenia, because we were talking about how sometimes people are being just misdiagnosed, and I can just share my brief experience. How I saw a psychiatrist probably twice, and he immediately decided, I'm going to put you on medication. There was no real long consult, and a lot of times, like you said, people might need a little psychoeducation, and it could be informal. It ain't got to be nothing formal, but just letting them know, you know what I mean? Like some of the information around these certain, these abnormalities, we call them that, because I don't even think they're disorders. I think once you learn to manage it, and learn what you need to do for you, by all means, I think you can be fine, live a wonderful life. And I'm just talking from my experience. But however, if people are not educated on these, again, human frailties, then yes, they're going to continue to, put pressure on folks. I'm talking about loved ones, and be like, yeah, she's just acting out. She's just having a moment, when, family members don't oftentimes understand what bipolar disorder entails. They don't.
Right. Yeah, they don't. All they know is up and down. They say up and down. Well, one day she was this way, and then the next day her mood changed, and they don't even know that it has to take place over a certain amount of time. They don't know about frequencies. They don't know about often. They don't know how to measure. They don't know anything, and they're just steady telling their loved one that you got a problem, and then not helping them get out of the problem into the solution. One of the things that is one of my pet peeves is moving out of the problem and getting into the solution. And I teach people all the time to become solutionists. Regardless of what the problem is, there is a way to resolve it. And for Muslims, period, we have always been taught to take everything to the rug. But because of the betrayal and the deception, and especially in marriages and stuff like that, we're going to take it to the rug, all right. But here's the truth. We ain't telling nobody else. We can't trust them. we said we got some serious stuff going on. We have been traumatized and all kinds of things.
But you know what? This is my thing. I tell people you are as sick as your secrets.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
You are sick
Real.
as your secrets. Period.
Yeah.
And when you are sick, think about like a tree that's sick. It can't produce no good fruit.
That's
So then you
all.
wondering why your kids is not healthy, why your relationships are not healthy. Because it's you. You have to look inward and you have to get the help that you need. But also too, like what I want to say, because when she brought up, about the relationships and marriages, I wish women would stop be like, yeah, I'm bipolar. Because when I'm in a relationship, no,
Oh,
no, sis, you're not bipolar. You're
right.
not bipolar.
Right.
You just keep picking crappy men that's making you angry and sad, depressed, anxious, and all kinds of stuff. No, you don't. But the sad part about it is what people don't understand too. If you stay in it long enough, you will be it.
And
Absolutely.
I
And
think,
it's like the law of attraction. You know, a
yeah,
man is
yeah,
as he thinketh.
mhm,
Bottom line. And if you're not healthy enough
yep.
mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, and I'm gonna take a risk and say this part, and financially.
I
Yep,
Fine.
agree.
I
Yeah.
I
said
agree.
Yes.
and financially. If
I
you
agree.
don't have any of those things, and your expectation upon him is that he have all of that, especially we talking about mental health during Ramadan right now too, and he ain't gave you your 6 rights, like he don't understand, ain't teaching you none of your rights, and ain't teaching you about the pillars, and ain't giving you all your information, then that's a whole problem. And guess
Yes.
what? It ain't him, it's you, because you staying.
But you know what? But you know what? But before we even go into 6 rights and doing all this stuff, people need to learn abdad.
That
You need to
part.
learn manners and behaviors.
That
Mhm.
Because
part.
when you learn those things, it takes you a little bit step back that you give people grace.
Yeah.
Because when you
Yeah.
perfect your character
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
and stop trying to find fault in people, but
Yep.
the
Mm-hmm.
think about when you find fault in people, you should look at yourself because only people who have those faults usually can see it in themselves.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. You spot it, you got it.
I
Someone said to me one time, you know what your problem is? They said you really genuinely love Muslims. And and I was just blown away that this Muslim brother would say that. Um, and like if I was disappointed in something that was said or something that was done, that was on me. You know what I mean? Because you can't make anybody do anything. But when he said that, and I think that people need to cultivate a genuine and sincere love for their brother and their sister. So let's start
Mm-hmm.
there. Let's cultivate that. You know, if we in the world they call it agape love. So if it could just be a brotherly and sisterly love for the sake of Allah, you know what I mean? Let's cultivate that. Um, and I feel like we will say something behind the person's back, but being in their face like, hey girl, and I've seen enough of that.
Mhm.
And I realize that's the thing that'll get you in the hellfire, but that also plays a part on your mental health because you
I'll
are
get
not
into
your authentic
that.
self. I don't want
Right.
to keep switching hats. I don't want to keep switching up depending on who I'm around because that
Mhm.
plays a big part to me,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
in my opinion, on your mental health when you
Mm-hmm.
cannot stay in character. And when I say stay in character, be your authentic self.
Mhm.
And then it goes back to what I was saying, for people who I call them dual roles,
Oh,
who play the dual role in fitting in like the chameleon, just, for the particular time being. It still goes back to the support, meaning the positive, healthy people that's in your environment that's saying, pointing this out to you that you did this and you did that, and you did this, or you said that and you said this, so that you can take a look at that and go to Allah and go to Quran and go to your sisters and brothers to make wrong right.
Mhm.
Right. I did something the other day, even just to you, Michelle. You called me and you said to me, why did I do so? And you asked me a question and I answered it to the best of my ability. But that is the relationship that we have. You are able to, have healthy people in my life that's going to call me on my stuff. Indirect harm versus direct harm all plays on the mental aspects of the healthiness of the mindset of the individual, period.
and
And
you
I
know
need
what?
people
But
like
wait,
that in my
but I do
life.
want to say something, about what did the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said? He said, "None of you truly believe until you what? love for your brother, what you love for yourself.
For yourself.
I
Yeah.
want,
And though that's your favorite thing, though, you always, that's like a
It's
medical.
true. And
Yo, you had that since.
alhamdulillah, mashallah, I live by that.
Yeah, you do. No, you
If
do.
I have something, you have it.
You do.
Period.
Yeah, you do.
I will never say no unless it's like my last dollar and I'm hungry. But
Right.
we can share the cheesesteak roll or whatever.
Yeah, you're known for that. I can vouch for that. I
Like
can vouch for that. I really can.
I want the best for everyone. Period. I
Mhm.
want everybody to win. I am so passionate about that. And I hope that I can get other people to be passionate about their brother and sister in Islam than
Mhm.
anything. Than
May Allah be
anything.
pleased with you.
man,
May Allah be
Please.
pleased with you. May He be pleased with you. That's a
People don't
good thing.
understand. No,
Good
but you
thing.
know what the sad part about it? People don't really understand how it makes you feel on the inside and how it corrects a lot of stuff. It
Mm-hmm.
really, really do when you look at stuff that is not yours.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at stuff that is not yours, when something happens to it, it's just like, alhamdulillah.
and we talked about this earlier. We don't own nothing. This is the law stuff. We just listen. We
Mm-hmm.
just guess right now.
Whole service.
Nothing I have
Whole
accumulated by
service.
His permission.
Right.
Nothing I have accumulated by His permission will I take with me. We
Mm-hmm.
know that when we leave here, it's going to be three things that follow us, and it will not. I promise you, be my bank account.
It ain't gonna be the house, the car, the bank account, the husband, none of that.
My husband, he better be there for the funeral, but the bank account.
He'll be there. Wait a
But
minute, that's
but
one of his
hold
rights. That's he gonna give you your rights at the end. That's his last right. That's the right number 6. He gonna be there. Don't worry about that.
Absolutely. You know, but I wanted to touch on something that you said about just getting back to authenticity.
Mhm.
Like, you know, we are going to have misunderstandings, and not only must we allow ourselves grace, but we got to allow the other person some grace.
Ooh,
And,
that's beautiful.
you know, and I was saying, having this conversation with you yesterday, Zai, how the best form of flattery is when people, you know, I borrow things from you. I borrow things from you, Fatima. Like I'm a borrower, and it's because what you have shown me has been empowering, and it has been and it works. It's, you know what I mean, evidence based. It works, and it has empowered me. It's empowered me it helps my growth and development. And the whole goal is, because it ain't nothing about me, it's to service the people.
That's
you know,
it.
That's the whole goal. And if you
That's
can,
it.
and if you can make me more marketable or more effective in my service to the people, mashallah, I'll take it.
100 That's what's going on.
But you know
So
what? But too, like what you saying about service, what people don't get to when you service people, right? A lot of times, all of that stuff that you think about other people go down because you start to really get to know people and people's struggles.
Yes.
You know, it's like,
especially when you work with them, live with them, or travel with them.
Yeah.
You work with them, you're going to find out some stuff. You live with them, you're going to find out a whole bunch of stuff. That's why a lot of marriages end in divorce like ASAP. And then if you travel with them, you're going to learn some stuff about them as well. And when you travel, those are the smartest people on the planet because they're using a different part of their brain. They're using the left hemisphere. They got to figure it out once they get here.
So, you know, also, I was going to say, I was sitting here thinking of this. Wow, I just lost my thought. Okay, senior moment. I was just thinking how in marriages, like, you know, you don't know the person. I mean, here's the thing. And in that instance, it has to be grace. I met my husband on the 14th of this month, as a matter of fact, and we was married 2 weeks after that. You know what I mean? And
I remember.
Yes. And
I remember all that.
I'm saying that to say, and you got to give yourself time to get to know the person.
Absolutely.
You have to give yourself time to so that you guys can bond, because it's not about, I think that people also lose the concept of what our beloved Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was saying, also in reference to marriage. And that was one of the first books I read, was about the wives of our beloved Prophet Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That was it was important to me because how do you deal with so many personalities? How was he able to juggle so many personalities? And I think in a lot of instances with marriage, because it's still some mental health stuff going on, with most folks, whether they know it or not. Because the transference of trauma affects every Black person on the planet.
Every person
of color on the planet.
But I would take the color out too, sis, because it's just every person.
But here's the piece. Woo! Our story is unique because nobody was ever ripped from their home the way we were ripped from. I'm doing a whole research paper on this. It's almost done. So our situation is unique, and it's because also nobody is conscientiously, collectively, globally talking about how post-slavery has affected Black people. So it's layers and layers and layers of sequential trauma. Nobody's talking about that.
Yeah, it's compounded. Compound trauma.
You know what I mean? So even though we might not have went into somebody's office and got a diagnosis, we all have some stuff that we working with.
Yeah.
So when people come into these marriages, they are coming into it with this romanticized idea of how this relationship should go. And this is what I love about Islam. It's business, bruh. Where's the contract? Where's my mama? You know what I'm saying? And then when we fall in love, then that's the bonus. If you got some good loving, then that's the bonus. You understand?
And guess what, sis? Quiet is kept. All the other ones too, Christianity and all them other ones is contracts too. They just I call it a deep denial. It's a state of denial. I had a conversation the other day with somebody who their spouse has PTSD. Sis, Michelle, you the one who referred them to me. You referred them to me. And they where they live in Texas, Ohio, one of them places. And I see them and I see them online, and their spouse has PTSD. And when I say Christians and contract, I say y'all have a Christian contract. That's what you have. And you continue to exacerbate his symptoms, and he continued to exacerbate your system, and it's flame on, flame off, flame on, flame off. Nobody on medicine, and everybody want to talk to me through the internet.
But here's the
thing. But I don't want us to get sidetracked because we're going to be talking about marriage later and stuff like that. Because I already knew. That's why I outlined it, because I was like, mental health is so intricate. It's so it's hard to, like, if we would be going on and on and on for hours, because everything is just it intertwines with everything. And I just want people to really understand, like, one thing at a time, because we understand it, because we got 7 years of training, 4 years of training, 10 years of training here, so we get it, and we just know exactly, like, how it's just going flowing. But other people, they might not understand that. But so, like, with the mental health piece and going back to fasting, even times of the day that like Asia was saying about taking medications, it may be like, I was telling someone I couldn't take one of my medications because it's a stimulant, but it's for 12 hours. If I take it so early, it's going to wean by the end of the day, and it's not beneficial, So I decided to forego it, and then next thing you know, I was sleep on the couch for 6 hours, because I'm tired and I just can't get up, So just being mindful, like, of people might have to do certain things times of the day. It may be taking medication twice a day, or it may be, if I'm diabetic, who sugar is uncontrolled, and I have to have something throughout the day, or take metformin or insulin or whatever the case may be. So we have to learn to give people grace. And think the best of each other. Think the best of each other. But let me tell you, I guarantee you, hands down, I promise you, whatever it is that you think about other people is within yourself too. We
Yeah.
only notice things about other people that we have. Like, people are like, oh yeah, she's just jealous, blah, 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 blah. If that person never told you that they had a jealous streak in your body, you
Then
probably
why
have
would
it
you
too.
think that? Right.
And when you see another sister, let me just touch on this, because I see this often. It is your obligation to give another Muslim their right. Assalamu alaikum
Yes.
wa barakatuh. Like, say it.
Mhm.
Like, don't just walk by him and, or the people that
Mhm.
wear, or the sisters that have chosen to wear all black. Listen, it is not a sin if a sister wear color. It is not a sin. So,
All my whole, you already know me with my colors. Don't play
listen,
with me.
but I'm saying that to say, people want to feel welcome.
Yes.
I was on 52nd Street over the weekend, and I understand that the person that gives the greeting first is the one that's closest to Allah. I understand that,
Allah.
but
Alhamdulillah.
sometimes you just want, that you want that back. You would like somebody else to
The
say it.
mutual respect. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I realize that everybody out is hustling and bustling and buying these wonderful, beautiful garments now, but ain't nobody treating each other kind. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mhm.
everybody's walking over each other. Nobody's giving the other person a greeting. And I'm in the store and I'm watching this. And I said to my husband, please take me home. This is not the environment that I want to be in, because unfortunately, I think that we need to take a moment, be intentional in the moment, and really get an understanding of, and I get it. The mental health piece comes into play. It's Ramadan. Everybody hustling and bustling, and they want to get their dates, because I forgot mine the other day for my husband. And I get all of that. But take a moment to just, reflect on what it truly means. And if you are a new Shahada, then get literature, then join a new Shahada class, go to the masjid. But it's imperative that you educate yourself, because your salvation depends on it.
All day. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if you are Majnun, like if the pen is lifted and the ink is dry, like if it's that severe, if your mental illness is that severe, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala got you covered. You covered.
Yeah, you already granted grace. You already granted grace because of that.
Yeah. So
you already. I want to talk about the what Michelle was talking about when you said about the medications, because Depakote and the Lexapros and the lithiums, and if you are taking all of that medication and you're taking it as prescribed, no, granted, that is because of a mental health condition.
Absolutely.
And you cannot miss your dose of medication.
Absolutely.
You cannot, and you really should not, especially if you have not talked to your physician about it. Talk to your doctor about Ramadan and what it means. And I mean, make that extra appointment and to tell him, I would like to try to fast, and so that he can put a plan together with you to change the times that you administer these medications so that you can fulfill your fast. And Allah already knows that is what your heart desire is. So it's no big thing. So my husband takes his blood pressure medication in the morning time, would be right when he eats his breakfast or whatever, and he is fine. He might feel a little something later on during that afternoon, but by the time then the sun is down and he's ready to eat and take his medicine again and go to bed. So there are ways that it can be done. Just don't take the risk of doing it on your own without seeking medical advice.
Because part of Ramadan is a huge part of it is being obedient. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala done wrote it, then that's what we need to be compliant with. You know what I'm saying? And, if he made provisions for us, so if we cannot fast, I can't. I cannot fast. I take heart medication. I am not going to miss a dose of heart medication because AFib is horrific. So
yeah, but you do a lot of other stuff, sis. You can you do a whole lot of sacrifice. I've seen you do that. I mean, you do a lot. And this ain't got, and guess what? Even this don't come up, even without it being the holy month of Ramadan, I know you to be that giving.
By law permission.
But I know you to be that.
But I say that to say, even though, we're having this podcast and we appear to be we're gonna do air quotes normal because there's no real normal.
Oh, I'm
Um,
not normal now. You already know I'm not normal.
but I'm gonna just do. I'm gonna do that just for the audience. But I'm saying this to say, it's not that like we don't get overwhelmed. It's not like we don't deal with stress. It's not like we don't
Right.
deal with things going on in our lives.
Mhm.
And it's not that we got the market corner because we are clinicians. It is
Right.
that
I
we understand.
wish.
Huh? Say it
I said
again.
I
Right.
wish.
Nailed it. Wish we
That
had
ain't
been
my
there.
story. It is. I think we know that we need to reflect. I know that when I'm acting out or my behavior is a little weird, I know I need to call somebody from my tribe. And
Mhm.
you have to build your tribe. I mean, your support system. For those who don't know what that means,
Absolutely.
you got to build your
Absolutely.
support system. And you got to, and each person for me in my support system, has
Mhm.
their role. They all
Mhm.
tell me the truth, but they all play a role because somebody might tell me the truth and I might need them to add salve after they done told me the truth.
Mhm.
People are
That
very
part.
good, in their roles. And I think that that's important, having that support system,
Yeah.
that's going to be loving, that's going to be like salve to your soul.
Mhm.
You can receive what they trying to say and it don't appear like it's an attack.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But you
Yeah.
know what? But that also comes with trust.
Yes.
So my thing is, I tell people this: trust everybody. It takes way too much energy not to trust
Yeah.
everybody. Trust the snake to be the snake. Trust the teddy bear to
Right.
be a teddy bear. Trust
Right.
the
Mhm.
one person that pray all the time, but they prayed. You just
Mhm.
trust everything because it
Mhm.
will play out. Trust me.
Yes.
I have seen it.
Yes.
It's been many times, actually recently, not even that long ago, that I tried to control a situation and literally it blew up in my face. Like
Right.
I shouldn't
Mhm.
have no eyebrows. Okay.
Yeah. Right.
It blew up. But you'll be surprised when you just trust in the qadar of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Yes.
Yeah, it
Yes.
really
Right.
eases your mind. It really, really do when you know that things are going to happen because of the qadar of Allah. Period. You just be like,
Mhm.
it's going to happen, whatever, and then you just keep on moving. But also too, on top of trusting, Allah's qadar and trusting people to be them, also too, like you gotta also stop living your life like you are your story. So like a lot of times that's how I explain it to clients because a lot of times what they'll do is something have happened to them and then they internalize it like it
Mhm.
is them.
Oh
Mhm.
yeah.
It is
Yeah.
not you. It's an event. The event
Mhm.
happened.
Yeah.
Now you are you. And
Mhm.
I'm gonna do a quote that one of my professors used to say all the times that I absolutely love. I absolutely love it. And he used to say, just think for a moment that what you call your personality is really just a composite of behavioral patterns that you develop to cope with trauma.
Yeah.
Mhm.
If you stop
Makes sense.
living your life as a product of your story,
Mhm.
who would you be?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I say, whatever I choose to be when I wake up in the morning.
Mhm.
That's it.
Mhm.
That's all. So if today I wake up and I say, hey, it's a beautiful day, I'm not going to have no worries. I'm going to trust in the law. I'm going to give when I can. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to do this. When you start to believe what a law says that you have free will, you start
Mhm.
behaving like you have free will.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Most people, free will is an illusion. And what I mean by an illusion is because people think that they are operating in free will. Allah gave you free will, but most people are not operating in it. Because
Nowhere near
again,
close.
me
Nowhere
going
near.
around not trusting people, that's not really operating in
Mm-mm.
freedom because
Nowhere near.
it's my past that informed me that nobody can be trusted.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I like how you use the word control. And I really like when you said you shouldn't have no lashes, no eyebrows.
I really
You
shouldn't.
said it blew up in my face. Girl, I always
When I
tell,
say blew up, okay?
I believe you. Listen,
Blew up.
I always tell my patients, I always tell them this. I always say, I ask the question, and you might remember this, sis. Name one thing that you can control or list. Give them a piece of paper. List some things that you think you can.
Right.
Remember that? List some things you think you can control. And so then we have this whole conversation about why do you think you can control that, or whatever it is that's on their paper. And then I end up telling them, here's the truth. You can't control anything in life, period. You just can't.
Wait. This, you know what's
you
so
got
crazy?
absolutely nothing to do with none of nothing. It's all from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Do you know? Well, of course you know, but I'm just saying, like in the general sense. Do you know you don't even have control over your own thoughts?
Right.
You don't.
You only have control over how you respond to what comes into your mind.
Automatic thoughts are real. They are real.
That 90% unconscious thoughts be sitting there waiting to be like, boom, there you go. And
it
then
just busts right out on you. It
so
busts right out on you.
You got your automatic thoughts, then you got your nuffs over here, then you got shaitan's whispers over here. Ain't none of them real.
Don't forget your little conscious in the occipital back here, because that one right there that's sitting in the occipital, that one just waits.
Right.
See, that's my favorite part of the brain, the occipital. That's where everything is stored at. So it just sits there and waits.
And wait.
But let's go even deeper for when you go in the back of the brain, the animalistic part of your brain. Because when you become traumatized, you lose the ability to talk about what happened.
Yeah.
So you start to operate behavior. So trauma doesn't show up in words. It shows up in behaviors.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
That's how it shows up. So then you got the person who is an abuser, and you be like, because that's the animalistic part of their brain operating. This part of their brain, the frontal lobe, that's the executive function, and it tells you not to do this, to do this, and plan things out, is offline. Literally offline. It's dark. When brain scans happen, it is dark.
Yeah.
So and these are the things that people need to be concerned about when they want to sit there and look at somebody else's grass across the street, knowing that yours is dark.
You know what I learned when I was and I learned this when I first went to Gardenzia, because I had trauma, and it was from men. I had to train my mind to look beneath the surface. Sometimes we have to start to train ourselves to look beneath the surface and begin to ask ourselves, what makes that person operate that way? When we begin to do that, the thing that we thought was so insurmountable, so huge, becomes small as a mustard seed. And you begin to realize that thing, and see, here's the thing, the focus is not on you, it is you learning to look beneath the surface of other people so you don't judge. But that practice also makes you humble. It makes, not only does it make you humble, but it also begins to allow you to have some mercy for yourself. Because in that trauma, we be thinking, oh, I could have did this and I should have did that, and when I get a chance, I'm gonna do this, when none of that's really necessary. Because really, you powerless when you're a kid and things happen to you. You are very, you know what I mean? You and again, you're in a situation where you don't have no control over anything. But the point is, when we begin to look beneath the surface, not only do we implement that on other people, but we start to implement it on us, and it allows us to have some mercy on ourselves. You know?
But I'm gonna take a step backwards. Because before you even start trying to look beneath the surface of other people, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, save yourself first. Start look below your surface.
But you may not be.
Wait a minute. I'm about to say. Wait a minute. I know you might not be self-aware. Listen, because a lot of people are not self-aware. That's why I have a job. But again, if people start following the Quran and Sunnah like they're supposed to, when you stop, because see, this is how you know you're not self-aware. If I ask you, hey, why did you do that? Because that's just who I am. You have no idea why you do it. You have no idea who you are.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah. It's just like that. It's just like the sentence, it is what it is. Well, wait a minute now. It is what it is. That's the way it is. And you're not even willing to do
To
anything.
explore it.
You literally, in your mindset, this is mental health. In your mindset, you have already accepted that this is exactly what it is, and it's going to be that way. When you know that you don't like it, you don't want to be in it, you need to change it, and don't even know how to start asking for help. And there's nobody in your immediate circle that's going to say, you need help.
Right. But I wanted to address something that you said, Zai. Self-awareness. Sometimes Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will create circumstances because he really want to drive the point home. And there's information that I've heard again and again and again. And it might be that particular situation where it really has impacted my heart. Like I heard it in my brain, but the things that impact my heart, I'm more likely to act on, you know, with vigor. And in a lot of instances, therapy, you know, me going to therapy this is not my first rodeo. I've been in therapy most of my adult life, you know what I mean? And was a serial therapy collector, we'll say it like that. And because I realized in those moments, in those sessions, there was something that was not triggering what I needed to hear to heal. You know what I mean? It was not, you know, and I've discovered, like, I could be walking down, I could be go on vacation and be looking out at the ocean, and then it'll hit me like, oh, wow. So, you know, that's what Allah is, you know, is trying to guide me to. So in certain instances, I think that it's just not always black and white. Is, you know what I mean? That there definitely is some gray area. And I think circumstances, you know, again, being ready first and foremost. Like I had to also be ready to want to make some changes. And then I think circumstances, you know, Allah creating circumstances. When I was on the third floor, I was not Muslim. I was so lost and so broken and so trying to figure this thing out.
And we still had fun though.
And by all means, we did.
Oh, we had a ball. It was good experiences, that necessary experiences.
But let me say this to you, sister. I was really supposed to be on the 6th floor, and by Allah's permission, Allah put me on the 3rd floor so that Hakeem could be my surrogate father, so that I could have, you know, sisters. You know what I'm saying? And I could have brothers in a healthy way. So I'm saying that to say it was not meant for me. I was interviewing for the 6th floor. That was not Allah's cutter for me.
I remember that.
That was not his cutter. And I did not really start to embrace and really, you know, let loose and exhale until I had that experience. That's what I'm saying. And that may not be the case for everyone, because I'm sure it isn't. But that, you know, just was my experience. I'm the type of person where I could read a book and then, you know, 2 weeks later, I'll be like, oh, so that's what that meant. You know.
Yeah. So it's good conversation, good stuff.
Yeah, so I mean, I just think that we just need to be mindful. Yeah. That people are hurting.
Yes.
Yeah.
I can't say it enough. People are hurting. They are walking around with their pain on their sleeve.
I agree.
My Lord.
On their sleeve. I can't tell you, sometimes I just look in people's face and I could just see the anguish and the tiredness on their face, and they think they happy. And I'm like,
And you can feel the energy. You feel it. You feel
just a ball of toxic.
Oblivious. Just oblivious.
But I will say this. I think that as Muslims, the greatest zakah that the greatest sadaqah is just being kind.
A smile.
You know, and it's absolutely. Well, if I'm kind, I'm gonna be smiling at you, and I get that. What our beloved Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said. But that's the simplest thing. Like, that's the simplest thing, you know, that don't cost you anything. And I think that I just feel like once we get back to the basics, because we are so, everything is technology. Everybody's in their phone. Everybody is so preoccupied with so many other things going on. And I feel like if COVID didn't teach us anything, it should have taught us humanity. Like, you
Yes.
know what I mean? Like, it is inculcated in us to want to be connected to another person. And when we couldn't do that, you know, people need to think about how that made them feel. It made them feel lonely. It made them feel isolated. So now that perhaps we might have a chance by law's permission, you know what I mean, to be able to engage each other, you know, in person, we need to be kind. When we have
people were able to see themselves clearly because they were left with themselves. They were able to see what was missing, what was needed, and all those things. And it's up to them, how they wanted to proceed moving forward. I know for Blacks, period, was a whole come up during the pandemic because they found, I'm just telling you the truth, there was some skills found that they never, ever, ever thought that they had.
But you know what I'm so happy about with the whole pandemic and stuff? People started also to realizing their worth. It's funny how companies will be like, oh, don't nobody want to work. It's like, no, don't nobody want to hear you trying to talk down to me for $7.50.
Not no more. Not no more.
Do you know I was looking online? I have a whole master's degree. It was a job talking about some $17.50.
I don't know who they talking to. Who was that for? The high school? Was she in high school? The girl was in high school.
I said, who?
Now my sister with a license. You better get out of here.
You done lost your mind, you know. But
I agree with that. I agree with that.
People have. Yeah, so I wish people would stop saying that don't nobody want to work. Okay, just because you want to be the fool to work for pennies on the dollars while people on their yachts sipping coladas with $1 million boats making them money. That's your choice.
And women, and I gotta say it, of color, they are just knocking this. They are so innovative and become so creative, and they just knocking this thing. Listen, this is the beautiful thing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has done for us. We can take nothing and turn it into something. You know, we can take absolutely nothing and turn it into something so amazing. So, you know, just kudos, alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen, to those who, you know, were able to take nothing and turn it into something.
Yeah.
Listen,
good show. Good show.
Yeah. So I just want to thank you, ladies, for just giving people some understanding that giving people grace, you know.
Yes.
Give yourself grace, number one.
Yes.
And then give other people grace. Trust everybody.
Yes.
It's so much easier. Trust them to be them.
And you know what? Trust them because guess what? Allah is his cutter. You know what I'm saying? So they gonna do what they gonna do, and you gonna do what you gonna do. So don't think you operating independently because you're not.
Regardless, yeah.
Well, I want to say thank you for having me, and both of you look extremely beautiful. Sister, you can put that piece that you got on the side of your head in a box, and I'll be picking that up.
I don't think so, girlfriend. Okay,
yes, I have one. I have something like that. It's beautiful.
I've got a few colors now because I'm, on certain platforms. I
understand, but the both of you look extremely beautiful. Always very knowledgeable. Always very insightful. The conversation was very rich.
It was really good.
I thank you for having me.
Yeah, I appreciate
and I thank you for being here because you could have been like, I want to roll over and sleep. You know,
right?
And I appreciate both of you.
We got an assignment, and we all understand the assignment. You know, we have an assignment, and we all understand what that is. So we need to just roll up our sleeves and get to work. And as long as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put breath in my body, I'm gonna do my part.
Alhamdulillah. Me too. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
So I will see you guys next Monday. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Alaikum. This was awesome. Awesome. Yeah. I don't know how to get. Oh, okay, here we go.
We frozen.
I think so.
I don't know why we're frozen.
I don't know how to get off. Let me see. She off, but we're not.
We got a camera.
Wait. I think I got it. Hold on, wait.
I'm leaving the studio, but it won't let me leave. Y'all so funny.